my channel. Today I am reviewing the new foundation from Estee Lauder. This is called the Futurist Hydra Rescue. It's a moisturizing makeup. It has SPF of 45. So this is brand new from Estee Lauder. Let's go ahead and get into the description about the foundation. So it says it's a flawless foundation with breathable, full coverage, and a radiant finish. Powered with Estee Lauder skincare to hydrate, soothe, and protect. It has coverage plus care, which is powered with a high-performance Estee Lauder skincare. It's supposed to be breathable, skin-loving makeup with a 12-hour radiant glow. So the buildable medium to full coverage lightweight formula immediately evens out skin tone, covers redness, dark spots, and imperfections. Rescue skin with soothing, plumping hydration. It's natural looking makeup that lights skin with an instant radiant glow that lasts up to 12 hours. This foundation comes in 20 different shades. Our Double Wear has a lot more shades. And so I chose the shade 4N1 Shell Beige, which is described as medium tan with neutral undertones. But as you guys will see in the application, this is almost like a gray purple tone. And I've never had a foundation look this strong in the undertone. It's like gray. You can see just how gray it is. Now, don't get me wrong. As you guys know, I am a medium with like a golden undertone. I was gonna buy this as a golden undertone, but when I looked at all the shades, the undertones in the golden shade looked really, really yellow. And I was like, oh, I don't know that I wanna go that yellow, especially right now that it's, you know, January, we're in the middle of the winter time. And even though I am wearing fake tan, I am not near as golden or as warm toned as in the winter as I am in the summer. So I went ahead and chose this shade. Now don't get me wrong, I was able to make the shade work, but I don't know that this is going to be my perfect shade. So let's go ahead and head into the application. I'm gonna wear this foundation for the next 3 days. I'm gonna wear it for 12 hours every day, just to really get a good timeline on how long it lasts. One day I'm gonna wear powder, the other day I won't wear powder, just to kind of see if powder makes it last longer and all of that. I'm gonna wear it with different primers. I'm really gonna put it to the test within these next 3 days. And then I will come back and then I'll give you guys the full rundown on how I feel about it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the application. Okay, I got you guys zoomed in. Let's go ahead and start applying this foundation. Comes in a nice squeezy tube, which I don't mind these types of foundations. It's kind of like the Fenty one, the YSL one comes like this, the Lancome Skin Feels Good comes like this. So, you know, a lot of my foundations I have in this and I don't mind it. It's kind of liquidy too, so just keep that in mind. It's gray. Shit. I don't know if this shade's gonna work. I don't know. We're gonna try it. We're gonna see. All right, so as per usual, I'm gonna apply one side of the face with a brush and on the other side with a sponge. And I'm just gonna see if I can get this to kind of melt into my skin and not look so gray. I don't know, we'll see. Try to blend it down the neck. Now, it is applying really nice. Like, I like the finish of this. Okay, now I'm gonna take this Elcie sponge. This is the Elcie Cosmetic sponge. I actually got this in my Trend Mood box, and I've always loved this sponge. Like, I have loved this sponge since it came out. And I used it for a long time, and then I stopped using it for a while, and then I got it in my Trend Mood box. So I'm super excited about it because I really like it. I'm gonna go around my mouth here because my mouth looks a little gray. Like, I don't know how this is gonna look once I get my makeup on, but right now it looks so grayish, like purplish. If they have this foundation in stock somewhere, I will definitely make the trip and go exchange the shade. I want to say first off the bat, I love the finish of this. Like, the finish of this is beautiful. It kind of just melts into the skin almost immediately. Like, you almost don't even need to push the foundation into your skin or anything because it just like wants to melt. I would say this is a decent medium coverage. You could probably build this to a full. This foundation is starting to darken. So that's the one thing that I'm noticing right away. First of all, I love the finish of this. I love the way that it melts into the skin. It has a nice, like, hydrating, glossy type of finish. And right now I'm really dry. I don't look dry right now because I just, you know, applied my primer, which is the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Rich Face Base, and it's very hydrating. And then this is a hydrating foundation. So right now I look a little glossy, but towards, you know, midday, end of the day, my skin starts to get a little bit dry, especially right now. I'm so dry. So this might be a good foundation for those drier months. However, I do see this oxidizing, like a shade. It's oxidizing a little bit. I really love the way this melts into the skin. I mean, it's a beautiful foundation. It's almost like you can't even tell that you're wearing any foundation. It looks very, very smooth. Okay, so up close, this actually looks better through the camera, and the concealer helped a lot to kind of brighten things up a little bit. Okay, so right now it is 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera, finish the rest of my makeup. I will probably come back and do a midday check-in today, and then I'm gonna wear this for the next couple of days, and I will come back and give you guys my full thoughts. But I will wear this foundation for the next 3 days, and every day I wear it, I will wear it for like 12 hours or longer, just to really get a good vibe. But I do have to say, this has warmed up to my skin. The shade is not as gray. It's a little bit gray through here, but it's really warmed up. It does oxidize a little bit, so keep that in mind. That's it for the application portion of the video. I'm gonna jump off of here, finish the rest of my makeup, and I will see you guys in my first check-in. Okay everyone, I am back for a midday check-in on the foundation. It is currently 5:07, and this is the first day that I've worn it. And I'm gonna, you know, pull you guys in, but so far, I think this lays over the skin very beautifully. Like, I really like the coverage of it so far. I feel like this wears beautifully over my wrinkles. I feel like this is very hydrating, and I did apply a little bit of my Hourglass setting powder, and you know, you guys know I go in lightly with a little bit of powder, and then I put a little bit of this, like right here in this area, but my skin does have a very beautiful glow to it, and I love the way this looks on my skin so far. Like, I really like this. I think this is a very natural, beautiful foundation. Now, I would describe this foundation very similar to, I don't know that I have it out, but I will put the images up here. I would say this foundation is very similar to the Lancome Skin Feels Good, and very similar to the YSL Touche Eclat All-in-One Glow. So this one gives me that vibe. The only difference that I've noticed so far is this one has better coverage than both of those. So this one you actually get a decent medium coverage. With the Lancome Skin Feels Good, I get like a light medium coverage situation. You guys know that the Lancome Skin Feels Good is one of my all-time favorite foundations. It's still to this day one of my favorites. If you guys have dry skin and you like a light medium coverage, oh, it's beautiful on the skin. But the way that I like to build up coverage with that foundation is I like to stipple it into the skin and then kind of pushing it in, and I build that way. If you want a lighter coverage, you just put it on like you would anything else. So kind of the same thing with YSL. I would say that the Lancome probably has the least amount of coverage. The YSL is probably like middle, and the Estee Lauder has the most coverage out of the three. This is a decent medium coverage, and you don't need a lot to build the coverage. Has good coverage right away. This is very glowy. I mean, it's very radiant. And so far, for me personally, I think it's laying beautifully over my wrinkles. It's not creasing. It almost doesn't feel like I have makeup on. It doesn't feel thick and heavy in any places. So this foundation is very radiant, very dewy. And I did even set this with a little bit of the Hourglass powder. But this might be one for me that might be a tad bit too shiny. It might be one that I might have to apply a little bit more powder with, because it is, you guys can see. Now the difference is though, even though I feel shiny, I don't feel sticky. I don't feel tacky. That's the one thing that I will say. You know, sometimes when you have a foundation that's this glowy or this radiant, it can be a little bit too radiant and it will like pull away from the skin and it's a little tacky. This one isn't. So I do really like that about it. It's so undetectable on the skin. I've had it on for 7 hours, but so far, like, this is bomb. Like, this is all of you out there who have dry skin, maturing skin, you want something that's very natural. This is beautiful. Don't know that I would recommend this for combo or oily just yet. I think this might be too hydrating for you combo and oily ladies out there. Even with me putting a little bit of the powder that I did, I don't feel like I have powder on because I'm getting a little bit shiny. This might be for just only my dry skin people out there, but let's go ahead and examine the skin. That's it for this midday check-in. I'm gonna get off of here. I will see you guys in my final thoughts, and I'm gonna wear it for the next 3 days with different primers, no powder, with different powders, kind of switching things up, and I will get into my full final thoughts at the end of the video. So I will see you guys then. So today is Saturday. Yesterday I went to my local Dillard's and they had this foundation in stock at the Estee Lauder counter. So I went ahead and grabbed 4W1, and I think this is gonna be a way better shade for me. Now they had some of the shades, not all the shades, but they had majority of the shades there. So as you guys saw in the beginning, I swatched everything for you guys. I don't have the other foundation because I bought that foundation from Sephora. They didn't have it in stock, obviously, but I went ahead and took it back and grabbed this concealer from Hourglass. I'm also testing out this new concealer. I wanted to jump on camera so you guys can see what this looks like being a better shade applied on the skin. So the first day I wore the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. Yesterday I wore it with the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Face Primer. Today I'm wearing it with the Dior Backstage Primer. So I wanted to try it with different primers. Yesterday I didn't set it, and it is a foundation for me I have to set. Like, I look like a grease monkey all day long. So for me personally, this is a foundation that I have to set with a little bit of powder just to kind of tone down the shine. Okay, so I'm gonna put, like, seems like I need about 2 pumps, and they're kind of like smaller pumps, but this foundation is so liquidy that I definitely recommend applying it with a brush and then kind of smoothing it out with a sponge, because if you pick up this product with a sponge, you're gonna use up so much of it because it's very liquidy. I mean, you can see it's pretty liquidy. So I just recommend doing that, and this is a way better shade. I mean, that just like melted into my skin. I do like that about this foundation. This foundation just melts right into the skin. And that shade is really good. It's a way better shade. Now today is Saturday. My children are home. My son is right next to me in the theater watching a movie. So if you guys can hear that, I do apologize, but it's Saturday. What can you do, you know? I'm gonna put a little bit up here on my forehead. Kind of, the only thing is, because this is such a liquidy texture, it is kind of hard to just use a brush only. Now, if you continue to kind of stipple it and melt it into the skin with a brush, you can definitely use just a brush. Like, this is one of those foundations that is kind of like a dry oil texture, where if you continue to kind of blend it in, probably won't have to go in with a sponge. But my preferred way of applying a foundation is I like to go in with a brush, build up coverage, get an even application. I like to go over my foundation with a sponge and just kind of push it and melt it into the skin. So now I'm gonna take whatever's on the back of my hand just so that my sponge has some product on it. And then I'm just gonna start kind of pushing this into my skin. Shade match could not be better. Like, this looks very, very natural. The thing that I like about this one compared to some of the others is that I get really good coverage. For reference, if you guys are close to my shade match, this is the one I would go with, especially if you like a warm undertone. So this is what it's looking like, and it's so natural. Like, as you can see, it doesn't really look like I have foundation on, which is the thing that I do like about it. I will say though, this oxidizes. I'm gonna put one swipe here and I'm gonna let it dry. Okay, so I've really blended that in. I mean, look at that. You can't even see me putting it on my arms. So you can tell I've put it on, but it blends right into my skin. Okay, so this is a fresh swatch and this is the dried. it definitely oxidizes and it darkens, I would say about a shade. So just know that when you're buying it. I mean, my neck has definitely gotten darker. I don't know. This is a foundation that definitely darkens. So that's it for this application. I will see you guys in my next check-in. So it is currently 3:44 in the afternoon. Actually had this on for 6 hours now, and I love this new shade. I like it so much better than that other one. The shade was just kind of throwing me off, but this one is really pretty. As I wear it, I notice that it starts to get a tiny bit makeup-y in certain areas, but with a little bit of powder that can control that. I don't really like how it kind of gets bunched up around my nose, and it starts to do that, and it's one of those that if you don't powder and you kind of start touching your face, it will kind of lift the foundation up a little bit. So when I scoot you guys in, you guys will see what I'm talking about. But so far, for this being a very like natural type of foundation, because that's how I would describe this foundation, this is a foundation that reminds me of something that you can apply really quick and kind of like a BB cream, but with much better coverage than a normal BB cream would give you. And it's just a very natural foundation. And for it being a natural foundation, I think it looks absolutely beautiful. And the only complaint that I do have is that if I don't powder in certain areas, like today I did not take my brush and go over this part of my nose, and because I didn't do that, it's starting to lift a tiny bit. So this is what we're looking like, and I think everything looks really good, and my skin just has like a fresh glow to it. That's how I would describe this foundation. It's definitely hydrating, and it gives the skin a very fresh glow. And I think that's the reason why I have to powder it a little bit, but I think it looks really beautiful. And as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. It gets bunched up a little bit here around my nose area, but like I said, if I powdered in that area, it wouldn't do that. It's just those areas that I don't powder. But I think this looks really healthy, really beautiful, and the shade is just perfection. And now I can actually start to enjoy the foundation because I have the right shade. This one actually blends quite nicely into the hairline. So I really like this so far. I think it's a really beautiful foundation, and I think it's a good addition to the Estee Lauder foundation range. I think this is exactly what they were missing in their foundation. So I just turned off the ring light. I have the two lights that are sitting farther in the back, but the ring light is just the light that sits right in front of me. So this is more just room natural lighting. I have a light above me, and then I have these two lights that are farther back. I have a few shadows on my face, but that's kind of what happens when you shut the ring light off. You're gonna get shadowing. And as you can see, this is starting to get a little bit dewy. Okay, see? When I took my finger, you can see the light is shining right here. If I take my finger and dab over top of it, you can see how it is one of those that, you know, like if I had not powdered, it would probably lift the foundation off of my skin. So it's one of those that you want to be kind of careful with. Unless you're really, really, really dry, I think most people are gonna want a little bit of powder over this. Not a lot, but just a little bit. I mean, it looks very natural, very radiant in all lightings. Like, I really like this now that I have the right shade, and I think it is actually a very beautiful foundation. And it also lays pretty decent over my wrinkles. So that's it for this check-in. I'm gonna go ahead and go about my day. I have a lot to say, so I will see you guys in my final thoughts. Okay everyone, I am back to give my final thoughts on the foundation. So it is 11 o'clock at night. My son and his two friends are next door. So if you hear some screaming, they're playing Xbox, I apologize, but I gotta get this review up. I can't wait for them to be quiet. I gotta get it up. So recently I asked in my community center to ask me questions. I wanted to hear what questions you guys had about the foundation. Many of you guys responded, which I love it when you guys help me out. You guys are amazing. First things first, I didn't get any flashback. I took several pictures with, you know, my back facing camera with the flash. I didn't get any flashback. So even though this has a high SPF, I think it was like 45, this doesn't give me a lot of flashback. So that's a good thing. Number two, it doesn't last long. We're going to get into that. I'm going to pull you guys in. But in my personal opinion, I've had really great power with this one. I feel like this does last a really long time. For being more of that natural foundation type, it does last pretty good. And it sets down, so it's not a tacky foundation. A lot of people ask me that as well. Is it a tacky type of foundation? Because when you hear the word hydrate or hydrating, you automatically think it's going to be really dewy. But this one isn't. This is shiny. I will get into that in a minute. It's shiny, but it's not technically dewy to the point where if you touch your face, you're picking up product. So I do like how it sets down. Okay, the other question was, are the shades the same as the shades in the Double Wear? So I swatched a few of the shades, but the lady was kind of rushing me out of there. I don't know if she was getting ready to go on her break or what, but the lady at Estee Lauder was kind of pushing me out the door. She was just like, okay, thanks for buying, but we'll see you later. It was at the Estee Lauder counter. I swatched two shades from the Double Wear to this one, and they looked pretty similar. I wouldn't say that they're exact, but they looked very similar. She was told that the shades in this foundation corresponds with the shades in the Double Wear, but I have read a few reviews on the Sephora website, and some people are saying that that's not the case. And I think the reason for that is because this does oxidize. So I've mentioned that throughout the video. This oxidizes, I would say, almost a full shade. Not quite. For me, it didn't bother me, but if you're lighter skinned, keep that in mind, because it does darken. And I was able to totally wear it and pull it off with it darkening, but it does darken. So that could be why it doesn't match. So keep that in mind. There's only 20 some shades in this foundation. So with that being said, you're probably more than likely gonna find like your in-between shade. You're probably not gonna find the exact same shade that you wear in the Double Wear in this shade. I would personally recommend going into your local Estee Lauder department store and swatching and getting your right shade, because as you saw throughout the footage of this entire video, I chose the neutral shade thinking that I was going to be in the safe zone, and I wasn't. So keep all that in mind. Also, somebody asked, how does it compare to like the Lancome Skin Feels Good or the YSL All-in-One Glow and those type of BB cream type of foundations? I would say the difference between those and this is this gives you more coverage. Also, the Lancome and the YSL, they're kind of tacky a little bit. They don't set down like this one does. So this one actually sets down on the skin. I would say the Lancome and the YSL All-in-One Glow are more hydrating than this one, even though this is claiming to be a hydrating foundation. I think it is, but I don't think it's as hydrating as those, if that makes sense. Also, somebody asked if this would work on oily skin. I don't think it would. If you had oily skin, I just would not even try this. I think this is going to be too shiny for you. I'm more dry normal, and throughout the entire time I've worn this, like yesterday I was talking about, I did not wear any powder and I looked really greasy all day. I did not like that. So I have to wear a little bit of powder with this, especially right here in the T-zone. Now today, I didn't apply any powder right along the perimeter of my face. I only did it on the center of my face. And I think it looks pretty good. I mean, you can see I'm a little bit shiny like through here. To be technical, I've had this on for 13 hours. I think it looks really good for being on for 13 hours. And I only put a little bit of powder on. You guys know I don't go in heavy. If you're a combination, you have a really good powder that you put on your T-zone, I think you'll enjoy this, especially if you're oily in the T-zone and you're dry around the perimeter. This might be a nice option for you because it does kind of keep you hydrated throughout the day, but it's not like super oily. Okay, somebody asked, how does it wear over wrinkles? I would say, personally, I think it looks beautiful over wrinkles. This is a very natural foundation. I feel like the only thing that I didn't like about it is that it kind of built up right around my nose area. All 3 times that I've worn it, it kind of built up right here. Other than that, I think it looks great in the wrinkles. I don't think that it looks heavy throughout here at all. You guys know that I do get Botox on my forehead and along my crow's feet. So the wrinkles that I deal with are right here, and I don't feel like, you know, there's a lot of foundations out there that get heavy like right through here, especially on this creepy skin that I have right here. This doesn't feel that way at all. It's extremely natural. So I think if you have like dry, mature, normal skin, I think you'll really enjoy this foundation. Somebody also said, how does it look on the pores? Okay, that is a great question, because the only negative I would point out about this foundation is it doesn't lay beautifully over pores, and it's just because it's a very like glowy type of foundation. And you guys know that whenever you're wearing a very glowy foundation, sometimes you run the risk of it emphasizing some of your pores, and I feel like that has done this. But today I wore a little bit of this Cover FX blurring primer, and I put a tiny bit of that right here in this area. Cured that problem immediately. Having a little bit of something over the pores before you go in with this completely eliminates that problem. Somebody asked about the scent. It does kind of have a scent, but I wouldn't say it's very strong. I don't think that this has a scent. Maybe it has a tiny hint of scent. I don't have the best nose, so it's hard for me to say that. It has a scent to it, but it's not very strong. I would call this kind of like a skin tint, but with really good coverage. So it kind of gives me that BB cream, very natural, very fresh. But I will say, this is gonna be one I'm gonna be reaching for quite often, especially on those days where I'm just throwing on a tiny bit of makeup. This is so easy. It really melts into the skin nicely. You know, because this is another type of like dry oil type of texture where it's not really creamy. It kind of has that dry texture where it really melts into the skin. I really like this foundation. I don't feel like this foundation is for everyone. I think you have to kind of, you know, take my review, you know, take everything that I said, dial it down and see if this is going to fit and fit your complexion needs, because I know that we all have different complexion needs. I don't feel like this is going to be for everyone, but I do think if you are a dry, mature skin and you're looking for something to give you a little bit of hydration, give you a beautiful shine, especially if you have dull skin. If your biggest concern about your skin is kind of having a dullness to it, this is beautiful because it does give you that radiant glow, but without emphasizing, you know, your wrinkles. It does emphasize a little bit of pores, but not as much as some. So this is 13 hours later, and it looks really good. I mean, of course I've lost some of my coverage right around here on my nose, but I've had foundations completely be gone right here in this area. So if my foundation breaks down right here first, so this is very normal for me, even like 8 hours in. I look like I have really good coverage still around my jawline. I think this is held up really well. I think this looks really good. And you guys can see I have a lot of texture around here. And this is laid really good over my texture. The only thing I would say is I have a few like dry patches right here. They're not really bad dry patches, but they're a little bit dry. And this seems to want to cling a little bit. So if I were you and you have more dry patches, this might not be one that you want to pick, but if it's something that you want to try and you have tiny bit of patches like I do, I would just go in, you know, in that area with a little bit of extra hydration before going on with the foundation, and then really pushing it in, making sure that you pick up any extra product, and that will sometimes eliminate having it attached to any of the dry areas. I don't know if it's going to show up, but where I have like been pulling my hair away from my face, you can see that I've lost a lot of my coverage right here. It's kind of really pulling apart right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I've got a little bit of patchiness going on right here next to my hairline. It's kind of pulled away. It's kind of faded there where I keep kind of pulling my hair back. Not so much on this side because I haven't been doing it on this side, but definitely on this side. You can see it's kind of patchy in those areas. I mean, you can see it's kind of built up a little bit kind of gunky right there, but it's not bad. I mean, for being 12 hours later, we're not looking too bad, I don't think. So that's it for the video. I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for the love that you show me and my channel. It means the absolute world to me. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day filled with love and joy. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video, which will be my review of the new Hourglass concealer. So come right back here tomorrow and check that video out. I love you all so much, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Love you. Bye.